Welcome to the deep dive. If you're feeling like the AI news cycle is just a bit much lately, $100 billion deals, models beating experts, major security flaws popping up everywhere, well, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're looking beyond single announcements. We're diving into these huge shifts happening all at once, right across the AI stack.
That's right. We've gathered quite a stack of sources ourselves, covering everything from UN discussions on governance down to specific models outperforming human analysts. Our goal today is really to cut through that noise, give you a clear picture of where the big bets are being placed in the ecosystem, and honestly, where the biggest risks are showing up right now for users.
Okay, so to make sense of it all, we'll break this down into maybe three key areas. First up, the money, the sheer scale of this infrastructure war, what it takes just to compete. Second, we'll look at the actual AI, the intelligence itself, these new expert models, and this big shift towards, well, proactive help, not just reactive tools. And finally, we have to talk about the guardrails, governance, security, basically everything trying desperately to keep up with how fast this technology is moving. All right, let's jump straight into the numbers then, because the scale of the money involved, it's become the first real hurdle, hasn't it? And maybe the biggest headline. We're talking figures that just dwarf previous tech investments. I mean, the biggest one has to be OpenAI locking down compute power, right? Expanding that CoreWeave deal by another $6.5 billion.
Yeah, and that brings the total just for that one partnership up to, what, $22.4 billion? It's staggering.
22.4 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
And even that massive figure,
Yeah.
it feels almost like a down payment, Because we're also hearing about this longer-term NVIDIA and OpenAI collaboration. The projections there are up to $100 billion for things like the Stargate project, these huge AI supercomputing centers,
Yeah.
aiming for something like 10 gigawatts of power.
Okay, hold on. $100 billion in 10 gigawatts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to even wrap your head around that scale. Is that figure actually realistic, or is it more about, say, scaring off potential competitors?
Probably a bit of both. But mostly, I think it reflects the hard reality now. This infrastructure race, the physical compute power, that is the bottleneck for the whole industry. But think about the implications. 10 gigawatts, that's like powering a large city just for AI models. The costs, the environmental factors,
Yeah.
makes the barrier to entry just immense for anyone except the absolute biggest players.
And it seems like everyone's scrambling for NVIDIA chips. They're basically the oil of this new economy. But interestingly, our sources point to maybe a slight shift. That alternatives are becoming practical, like successfully fine-tuning a big medical model, 4.5 billion parameters, entirely on AMD chips, the MI300X.
Yes, and that's actually a really critical data point. It shows there's a credible path forward that isn't solely reliant on NVIDIA, at least for certain specialized high-end tasks.
Which is vital, right? If only one company controls the main bottleneck, innovation tends to slow down. The second viable alternatives emerge, things can accelerate again for everyone else.
And the competition isn't just about the hardware. It's hitting the software, the business models, even the legal side. Like Microsoft launching its unified AI marketplace. That seems like a clear shot at Amazon and Google, right? Trying to own that distribution channel for enterprise tools, aiming for that projected $200 billion market. Absolutely. And at the same time, the fights over intellectual property are heating up. You've got Elon Musk's xAI suing OpenAI, accusing them of poaching staff, stealing secrets related to the Grok chatbot. I mean, when lawsuits start flying over chatbot tech secrets, it really shows you how high the stakes are in differentiating these models.
Meanwhile, some of the older tech giants are having to make pretty drastic moves. Look at Oracle reports of potentially 10,000 layoffs, all part of a major restructure to pivot hard towards hyperscale cloud and AI services. It feels like they see the writing on the wall, play in this space, or risk becoming irrelevant.
It's a massive realignment.
So all this money, all this infrastructure, it's fueling AI that's moving way beyond just answering questions. Let's talk about the models themselves. They're becoming more like specialized experts, even proactive assistants now.
Yeah, the performance benchmarks are pretty stunning. Anthropic's Claude 4.1 Opus, it came out on top in a big new test. OpenAI's own GDPval benchmark.
Okay, wait. GDPval. For listeners who haven't heard of that, what's it actually measuring? Is it just like academic scores?
Good question. No, GDPval stands for Generalized Deep Pool Value. It's specifically designed to test how well models perform economically valuable real-world tasks. They tested across, I think, 44 different high-value jobs. And what really stood out in these results, Claude didn't just lead the pack. In some targeted tests, it actually outperformed human financial experts on financial analysis tasks.
Outperformed human experts. How do they measure that specifically? I mean, were there nuances the humans caught that the model missed, or How reliable is that outperformance claim?
Well, the tests involve things like complex scenario analysis, risk assessment using new data sets. The model's advantage seemed to be speed and its ability to synthesize vast amounts of information quickly. It's maybe less about nuance right now and more about raw analytical processing power. But the key takeaway is, this isn't theoretical. It's near expert level capabilities starting to challenge, entry to mid-level white-collar work today.
And that leads right into this paradigm shift you mentioned. OpenAI rolling out ChatGPT Pulse for its pro users.
Yeah.
This isn't just waiting for your prompt anymore. Pulse is designed to give you daily personalized updates by looking at your chat history, your emails, your calendar.
Exactly. It's a major shift from reactive tools where you have to ask first to something more goal-oriented, almost anticipatory. It's acting like a personal agent,
Yeah.
organizing your info, maybe even suggesting things before you've thought to ask.
Like it's planning your day before you even open your laptop.
Sort of, yeah. And if you connect that kind of intelligence to the physical world, you see things like Google DeepMind's latest robotics work, Gemini Robotics-ER 1.5. This enables what they call embodied reasoning and tool use, so robots can tackle complex, multi-step jobs by doing real-time web searches or even sharing skills they've learned with other robots. That's a big step towards more general-purpose robots that aren't just stuck in their pre-programmed loops.
Wow. Okay. And then in the creative space, similar integration is happening fast. Adobe Photoshop. Now integrating Google's FluxPoint-1 Context Pro AI models right into the beta app. That's the first time Photoshop's allowed a third-party AI model in like that, isn't it? Huge deal for creators.
It is. Suddenly, the industry standard tool is hosting models from a rival directly inside. And we also saw Suno Studio launch basically a generative audio workstation for making music entirely with AI.
So creation itself is getting faster, easier, more integrated.
And for the developers building all this, speed is crucial there too. Tools like GitHub Copilot CLI going public preview for coding in the terminal, and maybe even more significantly, Perplexity's new search API, offering results in milliseconds. That kind of low latency is exactly what you need for AI agents and LLM apps to feel truly responsive, almost instantaneous. The whole technology stack is speeding up to support real-time use.
Okay, but this speed, this capability,
Right.
it inevitably brings risks, right?
Absolutely. And this raises that really important question. As the capabilities shoot up, the sophistication of the risks does too. Our focus on security, on governance, it just has to keep pace because the dangers are becoming very specific, very tangible, especially with these new agentic systems.
Yeah, that governance discussion has definitely gone global. We saw Yoshua Bengio at the UN Security Council pushing for evidence-based guardrails for advanced AI, and at the same time, Stanford HAI was calling for more equitable access, making sure these benefits actually reach billions, not just the few tech giants funding that massive infrastructure race we talked about earlier.
Right. But while those high-level talks happen, we're seeing critical flaws emerge in AI systems that are already deployed, like that vulnerability called forced leak in Salesforce's Agentforce AI. That flaw allowed attackers to pull out sensitive CRM data. And the method was interesting, indirect prompt injection.
Okay, indirect prompt injection. For listeners, can you break that down quickly? What does that mean in practice?
Sure. So think of it like this. Instead of you, the user, typing a malicious command directly at the AI, the harmful instruction is hidden somewhere the AI agent is supposed to read as part of its job. Maybe in an email, it's summarizing, or a note in the CRM system. When the agent processes that contaminated data, it unknowingly triggers the hidden command. Something like, hey, send all this customer data to this external website. Agents create a whole new level of trust issues because they interact with data autonomously.
Got it. So the agent itself is compromised by the data it consumes. That's tricky.
Very. And it wasn't just big enterprise systems. Sources also detailed finding a compromised Model Context Protocol server, an MCP server, and a fake NPM package.
MCP server.npm package. What's the significance there?
Well, the MCP server is like the relay station for how these AI agents interact and share data. And NPM packages are common tools developers use. So essentially, attackers hid malware inside a developer tool. When developers used it, it leveraged the compromised MCP server to quietly siphon off thousands of emails every day.
Wow. So if the tools developers use to build AI are compromised.
The potential for data theft just explodes. It hits right at the foundation.
So pulling this all together, what does this mean for our listeners? The people actually using these tools, or maybe worried about their jobs. The impact seems immediate. We're hearing CEOs openly warn that AI could replace maybe up to 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs. And that's directly fueled by companies like OpenAI and Anthropic investing collectively, what, $1 billion a year specifically to train these proactive work agents.
Exactly. That investment is laser-focused on automating those tasks. Yet, paradoxically, there's this huge trust gap. Even though AI is estimated to be involved in something like 90% of coding now, surveys show only about 24% of developers actually trust the output.
Mm.
That fundamental lack of trust is a major drag on actually realizing the productivity gains, even if the tools get technically faster.
That's a really interesting tension, but there is maybe a sliver of optimism on the cost side, something about prompt optimization, GPA.
Yes. GPA-guided exploration prompt augmentation. It's a technique for structuring your prompts, basically guiding the model's reasoning process more carefully. And researchers found that using GPA well can sometimes match, or even beat, the results you get from much more expensive supervised fine-tuning.
So asking smarter questions can be as good as retraining the whole model sometimes.
In some cases, yes. It suggests that making AI better doesn't always mean throwing exponentially more money and data at it. Sometimes, improving how we communicate with the existing models could be a cheaper, more flexible path.
Okay, let's try and synthesize this. We've got this massive flood of capital pouring into infrastructure,
Driving incredible compute power.
powering this rapid shift towards proactive, expert-level AI like Claude Opus beating analysts or ChatGPT Pulse organizing your life.
Right, the capability curve is incredibly steep right now.
But running right alongside that, or maybe struggling to catch up, are these really serious immediate security and governance gaps, like the agent force leak, the developer tool compromises.
It's a direct tension. The faster the capability grows, the wider the potential gap for safety and control seems to become.
So, as we wrap up, it's maybe worth remembering what the ultimate theoretical goalpost is here.
Right. Sam Altman and the physicist David Deutsch proposed a kind of ultimate test for true AGI, artificial general intelligence. They suggested an AI that could not only solve quantum gravity, one of physics' biggest unsolved problems, but could also explain that solution to humans in a way we could understand. That, they argue, would be the mark of true human-level general intelligence.
That's quite the benchmark, solving quantum gravity and explaining it. Okay. But bringing it back to today, here's the final, maybe provocative question we want to leave you with. Connecting this capability surge with the reliability issues. Given how quickly agentic AI is getting woven into critical systems, think Agent Force handling CRM data, Copilot writing code, Pulse accessing personal info, blah, blah. And given that even the builders, like Anthropic, publicly share details of bugs, like routing errors that significantly skewed model results, how should we move forward trying to ensure security and ethical use when the very models we're starting to rely on are becoming so complex that even the companies creating them struggle to fully audit or predict their behavior?
That gap between capability and verifiable reliability, it feels like the central challenge right now.
Definitely something to think about. Until next time, keep digging.